All right,
Cool.
we're rolling.
All right.
It's gonna take me like 4 years to edit all this. Yeah, well, welcome, Emily. It's a pretty casual start. For those that don't know you, why don't you give a quick rundown on who you are and what you do?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm Emily Gozy. I'm a registered dietitian. My business is Nourished with Emily. I help busy professionals feel confident in their skin and in the kitchen through nutrition counseling, education, and support. I wasn't always an entrepreneur. I started as a dietitian in a nursing home and then kind of pivoted and found my way from there. But I'm really passionate about helping people make nutrition easy because we're just not taught nutrition in school. Like, I don't know about you, but like we didn't have a nutrition class in elementary school, middle school, or high school. Like, just was not talked about. So then we're kind of left as adults of like, what am I supposed to have for breakfast? Like, why do I feel like crap at 10 o'clock in the morning? And that's what I really like to help people navigate through and feel their best with.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And it's nice AC coming on right now. But I think, nutrition and even like personal finance are some things that are like essential life skills that are just not taught at all.
I feel like I saw something recently though, they are adding something to, I think, like senior year of high school or something. I know they're changing the regents for New York, but they're changing the requirements where they will have to talk about personal finance. And I know that there's so many banks that will push into schools to like offer some of that education. I think I saw a post on LinkedIn the other day where one of the banks had went in and it's like I can't remember the name of the program, but they're like, here's your $500 for the week. You have to stop at all of these different things, or for the month, whatever it was, and like pay your rent and pay groceries. And you have kids, you have to pay childcare, which like we never did that. Like, it's so important too.
Yeah. I know the credit unions are big on that around here.
Yes.
Yeah. So when did you think about when you wanted to get into this field, and when did you switch, and when did you want to make it a business?
Yeah, so I had an eating disorder when I was 14. So I was on the basketball team. We were not good. I was one of the older girls on the team, and I think it was like January around that year where we had gone like 2-14, something horrible, we're not winning at all. And I remember being at a practice and the coach was great, but I don't think they had a ton of training with like how to talk to young teenage girls, because there was the comment of like, none of you are in shape to play basketball. And even like pointing out another teammate, like, she's the only one that can beat everyone up and down the court. None of you are in shape to play basketball. And as someone who was not good at basketball, but really wanted to be good at basketball, that hit me. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like I have to step up my game. I've got to do all these things. And it kind of spiraled to an eating disorder from there. I had to go see a dietitian as part of my treatment, working with a therapist, but the dietitian is really the one that I vibed with the most, and I liked what she was saying, and she was so approachable and warm and friendly, which made it easier to be open to learning and changing and kind of coming into recovery. So I decided from there, I was like, I like this, I want to do this. I thought I was going to be a sports dietitian. My master's is actually in sports nutrition and exercise science. And then I remember going to a talk at Syracuse University where it was the Cleveland Browns dietitian, and she was saying that she works 18-hour days with no days off, 9 months out of the year. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. And it was like making very, very little money. And not that I'm in it for the money at all, but like that's part of it, of like 9 months out of the year with no days off. Like, no, I love to travel. Like I can't not do that. So then I was like, okay, like I'm in the middle of getting my sports nutrition degree. What else could I do? So I was working at the nursing home at the time. I had partnered with a local gym and was offering nutrition coaching through them. And I was their dietitian and everything, but I wasn't able to charge what I wanted to. They set the price, they took most of it because they were kind of filtering me clients, which I understand. But then I was like, I can do this on my own. So I started to grow my business or build it towards the end of 18, launching it in 2019, and then kind of growing it from there. I left the nursing home to go to work at the WIC program, which was 4 10-hour days. Fridays were our days off. And I would do calls like all day on Fridays and in the evenings, Monday through Thursday until like 9 o'clock at night. And it got to the point where I had like doubled what I had made for the year at WIC. And I also had realized I had just moved in with my now husband that like I'm getting home from work at 5:30. He's the one making dinner. I'm then on calls until 9 o'clock at night. Like, it's not fair to him either. It's like I also love the work that I'm doing with clients. So decided to pivot and say like, all right, like I'm leaving the full-time job, I'm leaving the security, and let me figure this out on my own.
What point in time was that when you left the full-time job?
So that was in January of 2022. So it was 3 years ago. So I was 25. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Was there a little, some people say like the earth is moving beneath your feet a little bit. When do you think you were right away, it was steady, or was there a little bit of leap of faith there where you had to?
I think like it was steady, and especially with like COVID grew my business because people were suddenly paying attention to their nutrition again, and like they had to cook from home, or they might have been ordering out, and then they realized they had all of this weight gain and they had to make those changes. So that was definitely a catalyst for it. I think the big things that were really holding me up, and I probably could have gone full-time sooner, was, my parents are traditional business people. My mom's a CFO, my dad's in pharmaceutical sales, and they're both like, well, what are you gonna do about a 401k? What are you gonna do about insurance? Where I felt like, oh crap, you're right, And then I was like, well, I can figure it out. Like I know other people that are entrepreneurs. I could talk to my accountant, I could talk to my financial advisor, we could make this work. So it was a scary kind of first month, but then getting into like the groove of it, I was like, I could never go back to working for somebody else, just because the freedom to come here and do this with you on a Wednesday morning, like everyone who works a 9 to 5 is at work right now.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a mindset thing. Like my parents were a cop and accountant, so it's like very stable, dependable jobs.
Yes.
So it's a lot to get out, like to go against that mindset.
Yeah.
Of just kind of like it's the freedom, but there's a lot of it's scary. There's not the reliability of the 9 to 5, the traditional insurance and all that.
Yeah.
But
and it worked out because like by the time, so I went full time in my business at 25. So at 26, you come off your parents' insurance. I got it through the marketplace, and then we got engaged about 2 years ago in April of 23. So then for 2024, I was able to go on my husband's insurance before we got married. So like that definitely was a big savings and was a big help too.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom has been at her job for like over, I think it's like 36, 37 years.
Mm-hmm.
My dad has been in his field for 26 years. Like it's such a change, and they were always so supportive, and my husband's always been so supportive. But I think my parents were like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? And it's like, yeah, I know that I want to do this.
Yeah. I think like the world has changed too. Like if, I was born in a different time, I think working 30 years for the company and getting the gold watch, like I would have been probably pretty good at that.
Absolutely.
But people do lose out from not job hopping. Like you work 1 or 2 years, and then you got to move to make more money.
Yeah.
And so on. And if you stay, eventually you may get laid off, and not even a fault of your own.
Right.
And a lot of jobs are just like now going away.
Yeah.
Especially automation and AI, and there will be new jobs too. But just the nature of things like Uber and everyone DoorDashes and this whole new economy. It's I think if people do want to become entrepreneurs, they need to embrace it. I think sooner than later.
I agree.
Just take the leap.
And I think more and more people are looking at side hustles, and more people are looking at like, how do I start my own business? Because maybe they don't feel the culture at their business is 100%, or they don't feel valued. I remember learning at one of the events I was at that new employees, within the first hour of them coming to their first day of work, know if they're going to be there long term.
Mm-hmm.
So like, let's say you show up and your boss forgot that you were starting that day, or HR, you're just standing there like waiting for somebody. That person somewhere in their mind has already made up like, I'm not going to be here forever. Like they're not even like happy to see me at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel important, and not that we need to always feel important, but like you need to at least feel valued and welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to see more and more people say like, I'm either wanting to work for an entrepreneur or with an entrepreneur, or become my own entrepreneur, because I'm never going to fire myself,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's something disingenuous about I think corporate culture in general, and not that it's like inherently evil, but it's this, we all work hard, and we're going to work extra hard because we're all part of a family, and like we're going to get a pizza party. Yep. And all these things, it makes you want to stay at work, and the ping pong tables and all that kind of culture gets you to want to stay and work harder, but they're not going to think twice about cutting you when the budgets come. So it's a double standard. It doesn't go what it comes off as. So I think bet on yourself
Yeah.
is what we have to do now.
And it's so harsh, but you always hear like, let's say, I hate saying this, but like, let's say you were to die tomorrow, like your company is going to be putting up a hiring thing the next day.
They're not gonna think twice about replacing you.
Exactly. Which it hurts the ego a little bit, but it's so true. I think back to the ocean submarine thing. It was like the next day after that sub, disappeared, or they said, all right, they've all died. There was a hiring for the new CEO.
Yeah.
That's obviously a very extreme case, but like just shows to show like you could have millions of dollars and they're moving on.
Yeah. What does success or happiness to you, like where you feel like you've made it, if you feel that yet, or you feel like you're building towards that goal?
I feel like success is a hard thing to always pin down because and I talk about this all the time with my clients too, is like, it's always like I'll be happy when I get to X, I'll be happy when I get here. And that was really tough when I was like just starting my business. I'll be happy when I get to, I'm making this much money a month. And then realizing that like, doesn't matter, let's say you've lost the 20 pounds, like you're like, I really want to be 150 pounds, like that's my goal. Like a fairy doesn't come down from the sky and bops you on the head and say like, woo, party, congratulations. Like nobody, they respect it and people see the progress, but I think it's more so, at least for me, like the freedom has been the nice part to it. To, I'm going to Massachusetts next week to speak at a nutrition conference, and to say like, all right, like we're gonna go stay at like the nice hotel because like I want to do this and I can do this. Like let's do that. Like being able to say like, oh, I'm going away for a week and I can pass things off to my team and not feel the guilt about it or feel like I have to be plugged in constantly. Like that's what has been so valuable and so driving for me, is to be able to not have to think about some of those things, of just saying like, it's all gonna work out. Like I just keep doing what I'm doing, and knowing that my business can also run without me in it. I took 2.5 weeks off for my wedding and all of our clients were great. My team was able to support everybody. Emails went out as normal. Social media posts went up as normal. And I was like, this is what I've been wanting. Like, this is what success is. It doesn't matter what the bank account says or what the profit and loss says at the end of the month of how much you're up or down or whatever it is. It's being able to step away and say like, okay, this is running without me. I don't have to be as actively involved as I feel like I always need to, though I want to always be there and always be working.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely important to remember that it's the journey.
Yeah.
Is that like me, like I'm like, all right, once I replace my salary, I'll be happy. But it's also like I have to remember like I'm home, like sometimes like I'm home at like 12:30 with my kids, like for lunch, or like, like we just like hung out in the morning and had breakfast while I did some work, and it's like that's making it,
Right.
That's worth it, even if, like that goal isn't reached eventually, like, to enjoy the in-between.
To have the freedom and the ability to rule over what you want to do and your schedule and where you want to show up, and if you feel like you want to do something or not, So many of like the corporate meetings is like, you have to go, you got to go to this conference. It's like, no, we can choose to go to those things because we want to be there.
Yeah, I don't think you can put a price tag on that.
No.
And there's no phoning it in, like any job. I mean, even if you have a great boss and great company, like if you're not have an ownership stake, it doesn't feel the same. So you have to do meetings you don't want to do, and like obviously as the boss, you do have to do things you don't want to do, but it's different. It's you have a stake in it, and
well, and I think like you have to be so much more as an entrepreneur like future focused and have that like vision of the future in mind, where some of those mundane tasks which aren't great and not fun, and like let's say it's like editing blogs, or I'm editing emails, or writing that stuff, like it's knowing like, okay, like this is the email that might make someone feel like, oh, she gets me. Like I'm finally ready to reach out. I finally know that we're speaking the same language here. So it's all of the mundane tasks are mundane. It's knowing that like sometimes it's those small things that make huge differences.
Yeah. Running the business, do you have any like operating frameworks or like visionary things that you follow to like, to make it all work?
So I did the WISE Business Center's BPI program, the Business Planning Intensive, which was super helpful. When I started my business, I did not have that at all. I was working with a dietitian nutrition coach who was teaching, like basically helping people build their own business, but there was no, I don't want to say no legitimacy to it, but it was like, oh, just use Google Docs. Like, oh, like just use FaceTime to kind of like talk with people, where, kind of figuring out like that's that's not okay. You can't really do that. So switching into some of the platforms and all of that stuff, but trying to be very specific with what we're looking for in the plan. So like I know what my tasks are day to day, and like I have a virtual admin who's great, and she's also in school to be a dietitian, where I can hand a lot of that stuff off to her, and she knows like she's writing these emails for us, she's doing these posts for us, she's working on like our guides and things like that, which are helpful. So I don't have any like, I guess, concrete written down processes, but it's all been setting the expectation, kind of showing how it's done, and then giving people, I guess, that the reign of like, okay, this is how, this is how things should be done, or how I want things to be done. And then knowing like, here are my checkpoints of like, I set goals every single month that I have to look at. So I wouldn't say processes exactly new, or frameworks, not really.
Okay, no, that's fine.
But figuring it out, yes. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, that's good, because like some people do like entrepreneurial operating systems like EOS or different sales frameworks and things like that. So just curious.
It's all about connection for me, so like when somebody puts in an application or messages us that they want to work with us, it's like, let's hop on a call, like let's talk more. I want to make sure that this feels good for both of us, and then kind of going from there. So maybe it is a framework and I just don't know what the name of it is.
I think it's different than, different lines of business. So like one-on-one coaching it's very, very much its own thing, and you know what you have to do.
Right.
How many different people do you have working for you in any capacity? They don't have to be full-time employees.
So I don't have any employees. They are all contractors. So I have my admin assistant who is, like I said, in school to finish her RD.
How did you find someone that wanted to be a dietitian that's also an admin assistant?
So she, when I was just going full-time, she was in the area. So her husband is in the military. She was going back to school to be a dietitian. She's in her 40s, and she's like, I need like volunteer experience, just to boost my resume to get into grad school and to do my internship. Can I just volunteer with you? And I was like, sure, free work, why not? That was like the first kind of person I had really helping me. So she was doing so great. I was like, I need to pay you. Like, I can't not pay you for all of this great stuff that you're doing. So I brought her on, and then I have 2 others that work with me on like the private pay side of our business. So that's the working with us in that higher capacity, access to us in between calls. So Emily and Sarah. Emily found me and we connected through social media, and she's gone through all the schooling and is dietitian eligible. So she just has to pass her exam. And then Sarah, she's also a dietitian. We went to high school and college together. Okay. So we go way back. Our brothers are best friends. We're best friends. So it was kind of just an easy fit. And then I have another dietitian, Kate, who was my intern when I was working at the WIC program. She lives in New York City, and she helps accept the insurance side of the business with me. So they're all kind of like on their own schedule and like doing their own thing, but they've been huge, just kind of with the processes and making sure things are getting done and expanding our reach.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, people say like DOA, like delegate or automate.
Yeah.
Just as much as you can.
Absolutely.
I want to pivot back to the nutrition side of things. So when you got started, eating disorder, was that more tied to the fitness with sports, or was it more like a body issue thing? I know that's really a problem for young girls growing up, especially now, social media. I think exponentially every year it's probably worse. Yeah,
so it's huge for girls and boys because about 10% of the population, I think the statistic is, has an eating disorder, and there's a growing number of men that also have disordered eating issues. So for me, I think it was both. I think it was like I didn't really have a solid friend group at that time. Like 7th and 8th grade were really hard for me. So this was in 9th grade. And I'm just kind of like finding my footing and just not feeling like I really, really belong. I had friends, but it wasn't super tight. Until we got into the older years and got really close. But I think it was that, and then also that was my 3rd year on the JV team. Now, before I made JV in 7th grade, I had never played basketball before. I played in like a Saturday morning league at my church, like that was it. So I didn't really have that experience. So I was like, oh, cool, like I'm on the JV team in 7th grade. And then to be on the JV team for the 3rd year, where a lot of the girls that I made it in 7th grade had gone up to varsity, I think my ego was kind of hurt, like, why am I not up there? Like, I should be with them. Like, I'm the oldest one on the team. I'm the only one who's been here for 3 years. And so I think like it hit me both ways of like, okay, I'm not feeling comfortable in my own skin, going through changes anyways. And then also having like that hurt of like, am I not good enough, I
think it is unfortunate in school growing up. a lot of these limiting beliefs
Yeah.
are put onto kids because you're just figuring out stuff and how to live, and you're not really good at anything yet.
Yeah.
So you think like, oh, I'm not good at that. Like, and even like subconsciously, you believe like, okay, I'll never. That's just like not in my skill set.
Yeah.
Whereas like, anything can be learned. Like, especially, I don't want to go back too into the business side of things, but I was relating like, I was a quiet kid. I never talked. So it's like sales was my worst nightmare. It's like and it's just like this inherent belief. It's like I suck at sales. I can never sell.
Yes.
And now I own a business where I just have to sell all day.
Exactly.
And you start out and you suck, but then you get better. And
Yeah.
Anything's possible with the mindset. Especially with sports. Like I got cut from soccer. Like 'cause I loved soccer in middle school, and then the high school team was really competitive. So ninth graders barely made it. So then got cut. I wasn't amazing, but I wasn't the worst. And then I think that had a belief for me where it's like, well, I'm just not good at soccer.
Yeah.
And I didn't try the next 3 years, but maybe if I did, it would have been different.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of discouragement that can stick with people, I think, throughout the years.
And I think it's tough too, because that's when we start to process and recognize that internal conversation that we're having. So, I mean, the one person you talk to the most every day is yourself. People don't realize that. Like for your entire life, the one person you talk the most with is with yourself. And when we start to get conditioned, or we hear other people say things, and then we're saying that to ourselves, like, I suck. Like this is hard. I'm not good at this. Why? Like I have people say like, I feel so fat, or I am so fat. It's like, be kind to yourself. Like, do you hear yourself? Because you wouldn't want to hang out with that person.
Yeah.
But we don't recognize that when we're younger, that those conversations in our head are starting to come together, and we're just sponges to our environment, and we're hearing everything, we're taking everything in, and emotions also feel just so much bigger too at those ages.
I met someone recently, and he just started as like an SDR. And I can tell he's just going to be a rock star because he tells me that he wakes up in the morning, looks at himself in the mirror, he's like, today's going to be a good day.
I love it.
Like, and he smiles. I'm like, this, like that's nuts. Like that's like for me, like I could never pump myself up like that. But I think positive affirmations really do have power because it shapes our mindset and our opinion of ourselves, and that shapes so many decisions. Do you have any like affirmations you tell yourself, or any kind of like processes like that?
I go to therapy. Like that's a huge piece of it, and like figuring out like that negative thought pattern, like where it comes back to, and like it really a lot of it does stem from like my eating disorder, of just that feeling of not good enough. And I remember like thinking when I was first starting my business of like, I need to like act older. Like I was one of the younger people, in my mastermind group. I was only 22 when I started my business, so it's like I was like, I need to act older. I need to pretend I'm something that I'm not. And it's like, no, like you got to be proud of where you're at. But I think it's reminding yourself that like things are always fleeting. Like the emotions are gonna come and go. But then also I would just say like, I'm working damn hard. Like I show up every single day, and as long as I'm feeling proud about what I've done or what I've accomplished at the end of the day, or wherever I'm leaving things, I feel good with it. And also my latte in the morning helps a lot with just like feeling so much better and feeling energized and showing up, and remembering with each of the clients that we're meeting. I could have anywhere, I think I have 3 clients later on today, but I could have anywhere from 3 to let's say 10. Like it's a new conversation with all of them, and that you're showing up to help them and to support them and to be excited to be there, and like, help them make those changes too. So which is also kind of an affirmation in itself. Like they're choosing to take care of themselves. Like I have to keep showing up for me and for them too.
Yeah, great. How old do you think your average client is?
I would say our average client is early to mid 40s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you had an issue gaining their trust, being like a young gun kind of coming in? Because I feel like that, like when I come in to try to get like big companies to like have me handle stuff, I come in as like the tech nephew, or like, oh,
come on, son.
It's like it's like my son, so like,
Yeah.
I'm dealing with people 20 or 30 years older than me.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel that, and that definitely gets in my mindset of like, oh, I can't do that. But that building that trust.
I think when I was younger, yes. I had a client I remember, and I'm still in contact with him today. He was like, my high school reunions are older than you. And I was like, great, you're still gonna listen to me though.
Okay, yeah.
So I think it's the leading with the value and the understanding. And I was talking with someone who helps me with my marketing, and I was like, oh, I wanna do this guide on like perimenopause and menopause. And she was like, well, do you think that people are gonna be like, clearly you are not in perimenopause or menopause, like you're in your 20s. Do you think that they're going to listen? And I was like, I think they will, because they understand that I know what they're going through from the work that I've done with other clients. So I think maybe when I was younger, I had more of that, like, oh my gosh, I really have to prove myself, or I really have to prove my worth. And I still obviously feel like I need to prove my worth and do that every day, but it's definitely different now of like, I have these success stories and I can pull from stories of other clients to kind of say like, I get it. You might think like I could be your child, and I probably could be your child, but like this is the science behind what we're doing, and it's not just me like pulling stuff out of thin air saying like, let's try this.
Yeah, that's great. I'm gonna pivot back to nutrition again. So if I understand correctly, you're not into fad diets or different like strict philosophies, no like one size fits all.
Correct.
What do you think like the biggest nutrition myth is or trend that you wish would go away?
All of them.
Yeah.
I think like the whole fearing carbohydrates just drives me insane. Same thing too with like so many of the women that we work with, they have been dieting forever. And even men too, they've been on something restrictive forever. They've been limiting their calories forever. And they think I'm gonna come in and say like, all right, we gotta cut back even more. And they're eating only 800 calories a day. And it's like, you gotta eat more. You have to do more. I see this a lot with people who've done Weight Watchers before. And Weight Watchers too kind of demonizes carbohydrates a little bit as well. So I would say, the people or the philosophy that we're fearing carbohydrates, your brain and spinal cord need them to run well off of like at least 130 grams a day. Like you want to be able to process things and understand. Carbohydrates are going to make that easier. Also, if you're an active individual, you have to have carbohydrates. I had someone reach out recently who was like, I'm an ultra marathon runner who does no carb. Can you help? And I was like, nope.
Yeah, not unless you have like, 40 pounds of weight to like feed on, like that's.
I was like, unless you want to start eating carbohydrates, I can make a recommendation to someone else. And they're like, I really don't. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So what does a healthy relationship with food look like?
So it's a spectrum. I don't think anyone has a perfect relationship with food, but it is the not letting emotions pull our choices or make our nutrition choices for us, as well as being able to see food as food, not as good or bad. And I think that's what the issue we see that many people have is that it's that good or bad, it's a black or white thing. And it's like, you can have everything. You can have all the foods, but let's be mindful of the portion and let's listen to your body. Let's listen to your hunger and fullness cues versus just, reacting of like, oh my gosh, I'm stressed, I need a chocolate bar. Like, let's ask ourselves, do we think the chocolate's gonna change that state, how you're feeling? Is it gonna change the situation? The answer is no, you're still gonna be stressed afterwards. It's just trying to like numb it in that situation.
Yeah. Do you think people with problems with food and maybe not even eating disorders, but just have an unhealthy relationship with food, do you think most of the time it stems from some emotional trauma or kind of underlying issue that may be going on?
You're asking really good questions.
Nice.
I like these. I think it depends. I think a lot of it is how we're brought up. If you lived in a family or a household that was really food insecure, you might feel like you can't control yourself around certain things. Let's say there was never potato chips in the house. There was never, or a family that was really strict with health, never soda in the house. And those are things where I've had people say they have 9 20-ounce bottles of soda a day just because it was something that they were so restricted from having before to kind of like overdoing it now. So I think our relationship with food starts when we're younger, before we're even conscious of it, with those conversations that our families have around food, and then commutate and grow from there. So I think a lot of it does come down to the emotion side of things, and we can't stop eating. So food is always gonna be there. So we really have to figure out, how can I walk this line of, I'm eating for nourishment, I'm enjoying what I'm having, but I'm not letting my emotions dictate how that plays out.
Do you think people can be addicted to food like they are to alcohol or drugs or anything like that? Okay.
And that's what the research shows too, is that the sugar lights up the same portion of the brain that like alcohol and like cigarettes or any of those drugs do as well. So yeah, I think if we get in the habit, we're on like this roller coaster with our blood, our blood sugar levels, where it's easy of like, all right, I have the candy bar, I finally feel good, I've got the energy, our body shoots off insulin, comes crashing back down again, and we're just like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted, I need something else now, and we're just perpetually on this cycle.
Yeah, it's like a dopamine fix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I feel like it's also a luxury or an economic issue with food. I feel like food is probably like my biggest budget item. And I always try to make like fresh, fresh ingredients, like single ingredient things, organic when I can. We're totally into that. We're like basically homesteading. But I feel like a lot of people, it's either an education issue or economic issue. Like growing up, it's like food deserts, right? You don't have access to a good supermarket, so you just survive on Cheetos and soda and whatever you can.
Yeah, it definitely, I know like the city of Syracuse has been called, and it is a food desert. There's really no grocery stores downtown. Brady Market was open, but that closed. And that was one of the only places besides like Salt City Market Co-op, where people could get fresh, somewhat local, because Brady Market has a farm. But it's hard when that's the only thing you've grown up with, of just like, it's always been fast food and takeout, and not that we can't have those things, but as dietitians, we also have to bring in that cultural understanding of like, I'm not going to tell you that you can't have those things that you grew up on and those are staples in your household. That's like saying to someone who's Italian, like, you can no longer have red sauce in pasta, like it's the worst thing for you. Get rid of the mozzarella. Like, they're gonna be like, no. They're not going to come back to you. So it's figuring out, giving the education, understanding where that person's coming from, and then kind of bridging that gap of like, oh, well, maybe we're not, having, let's say, coleslaw every single night because it does have mayonnaise in it, which it can be very high in saturated fat. Or can we make it with something else? Can we do half light mayonnaise and half Greek yogurt and change some of those flavors?
Do you have any advice to people that may be in a all or nothing mindset of like so strict? Do you have something that you used to like break through to them, that going towards more a balanced approach?
So the all or nothing mindset is what leads to yo-yo dieting, or dieting in general. And I don't teach people dieting or restriction. It's about that balance. So if we can look at it and say, I notice that I'm really good and I'm so strict Monday through Thursday, but the weekends is when I fall off. Like, we have to start to kind of come in and say like, oh, like, do you feel like you're craving those foods that you say that you can't have? And then on the weekends, you just keep eating all of them because they're there and around. And they're like, yeah. It's like, well, why don't we start to normalize those things? Because the pendulum's going to swing both ways. You're going to be really, really strict, and then something's going to happen and it's going to go the exact other way, and you're not going to be able to control yourself in that situation.
Yeah, I've definitely been through that.
Yeah.
Like many times.
Yeah. We don't like to be told what to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's, so like when we're setting goals with our clients, it's like, what do you want to work on this week? We've talked about a ton of things. I've given you education. We've talked about the importance of those things. Where do you want to start? Versus me saying like, all right, no soda. Like, we're going from 9 to 0. They're going to be like, F this girl. Like, I'm not talking with her again.
Yeah. I know you started going into, I want to say like corporate wellness kind of things, like going into companies. Can you just educate me on like what that looks like? What part, like how much of your business is that versus like the one-on-one individual coaching versus like how does it look like working with companies and bringing you in?
So it's a growing portion of our business that I'm actively focusing on and that I'm excited about and that we're building right now, because workplaces want to increase their culture, which increases, or reduces client or employee turnover, helping people to feel more valued and feel better, but it also helps employers' bottom line. So like, I remember working in my 9 to 5 jobs at like 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. So if we can bring in the proper nutrition or that understanding of like not having it be the traditional lunch and learn of this is carbs, this is protein,
or
this
it's
is
time
fat.
to get a Frappuccino at 2 o'clock. That was the classic
Right.
thing. Yeah.
So it's like helping to bring in those tools where people feel better and they can make better choices, that then kind of helps to have the business improve their bottom line, reduce that employee turnover, but also help to reduce those healthcare costs. Because so many people so many businesses are, especially some of the larger ones, are shelling out, the money for like GLP-1s. They're shelling out the money for doctor's visits, and nutrition is preventative medicine. So if we're able to kind of meet people where they're at, because really they're usually at work more than they are awake at home, let's bring the nutrition to them to make it easier and then help the whole culture of the company too.
What would you say the largest company, you don't have to say the company name, but like employee size, like the size of the company that you've done this for?
So I have an event tomorrow where it's a nationwide company. So I'm speaking to just like their upstate New York people, or actually women in particular. Okay. So it's a nationwide company that I'm speaking with tomorrow that I have to go out to Rochester for. But even small companies, places that have 8 employees, I've been able to kind of come in and give that nutrition education. And it's coming in and doing the education, but it's also offering, like, we can do challenges where it's not a weight loss challenge, it's like a step challenge. Can you get 6,000 steps a day? Can you eat 2 servings of fruits and vegetables? Can you increase your water consumption? And then also offering one-on-one work with us as well.
Yeah. So you hear that, everybody? That's legit. You can trust her. How do you, walking into like a room full of people, was that always something you're comfortable with? Any tips or the timeline of how to get there? Now you do, obviously.
So I remember the first in-person mastermind event that I went to when I was working with the dietitian coach. I remember there was 50 people that we were with. I was wearing my Fitbit at the time, and I remember sitting there, I was like shaking, just like sweating profusely because I'm just a nervous, sweaty person. And my watch was like, are you exercising? Because my heart rate was like 120. I was like, just like having that paralysis of like, I don't know anybody here. But the putting yourself repeatedly in those uncomfortable situations gets a lot easier. Mm-hmm. And even just trying to find someone of like, oh, like they're by themselves, they're not talking to anyone, just go strike up a conversation. And it doesn't even have to be like, what do you do? It's more so like, oh, what did you order for lunch today? Or like, how was your weekend? Like, what do you have going on? Like, I don't think we've met before. Mm-hmm. Where usually most people in those rooms are nervous to be there too. Mm-hmm. So it's just trying to find someone and connect with them, and just having that be like, okay, like I did it once, like I can do it again. I can find someone else, and soon enough you will pretty much know somebody in a lot of those circles, where if you go into a room, you know someone that at least looks familiar, where you can strike up a conversation with them. Yeah.
One quote someone told me is like, do it scared.
Yeah.
Just do it, right? Nike. But I worked with a sales coach that was like, one of the best ways starting out is just try to get on like a stage a week. Mm-hmm. And that's like a really lofty goal, but if you get like a stage a month or a stage a quarter, that's pretty good. And that could be online presentation, or just getting up in front of people and talking is so good. And even if it's horrible in the beginning, by the 6th time you do it, it's going to be not bad.
Well, and I think like with social media and like LinkedIn now too, it's so much easier to do that. Like you said, of just like posting on social media, where like that's how we were connected besides the Liverpool Chamber. But like, you keep posting things and then you'll run into someone and be like, oh, like I've seen your stuff on, LinkedIn, and then you have something to talk about with them. Yeah. We're like, oh my gosh, we just connected. Like, I feel like I know you, how's X, Y, and Z going? Or, what program are you in right now? Yeah. Where it's easier to kind of make those steps. And then you might also recognize some of those people that you're in a room with that you've never met before. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And I feel like you are now ubiquitous with all your involvement and all the networking things and events. How do you think you got to that point? What is the learning process and the strategy to kind of really put yourself out there? How did that all start and to where you are now?
So I think Instagram was very popular, or becoming popular, like when I was in college. So I started like with an Instagram profile. I think I called it like the road to being an RD. And I was just like posting stuff about school and my internship and all of that. So I had gotten into the groove of it. Then I was posting food pictures. And then I remember the dietitian coach I was working with, he was like, no one buys from you or works with you off of food pictures. Like, you got to tell your story. You got to talk about things. So it's been kind of that like slow rollout of sharing all of that stuff, and then seeing how powerful social media really is. So I think once you start to do it, and then you get that feedback of like, thank you for sharing this, or like, I'm going to try this recipe, or whatever it is, it gets easier to keep sharing, because you know that like your story is not falling on deaf ears. Like, it was so scary the first time I had posted something about my eating disorder, especially on LinkedIn, where I think like with Instagram, it can be a little bit friendlier, not friendlier, I don't want to say that. Maybe it's just more like open, where it's maybe a little bit more anonymous. Whereas LinkedIn, you kind of or connected with all of these people somehow. You can see those degree of connections, or you might have like ran into them. So it's always nerve-wracking to be like, well, I'm disclosing something that's huge, that's scary, but doing it and then getting the feedback, it's like, all right, this is a safe space. Like someone's not going to come in and be like, why would I work with a dietitian that had an eating disorder? And it's like, well, because I've been in your shoes. Like I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Do you have thoughts or opinions on like having a personal brand and the importance of that versus like traditional branding?
I think, I don't know if I would call it a personal brand for myself. I think you have to put it out there and be true to yourself. I think that's really what it is. And like purple is huge. I'm not wearing purple today, surprisingly, but purple is like, that's the color of our brand. And I love the color purple. And like, if I'm going to a networking event, I usually gravitate towards me wearing my purple stuff. So I think it's, as long as you're being true to yourself and walking the walk, I think that's more of what that personal brand is for me. And then trying to make sure that it's like on theme too, that like something I'm doing like isn't like, oh, let me talk about skydiving nutrition today. Like chances are like, I don't skydive, that sounds scary. But also too, how many of my followers or people that we work with actually skydive where they're gonna connect with it. So trying to be authentic to myself and then also to the mission of what's going on.
Yeah. I think people like to work with people.
Yes.
And people that they know, like, and trust.
Yep.
Versus like, this is the Syracuse nutrition company.
Yeah.
And sign up for our coaching.
Right.
Versus like a real person. You share your real story.
Yeah.
And people want to work with you because you're you.
And I am so much more likely, for the business people listening, I'm so much more likely to refer people to you if I know you. It's the same thing too. Like I will get coffee with anybody. Like we could be competitors and I don't care, but it's like I had coffee with another dietitian yesterday and I was like, what kind of clients can I refer to you? Because not everyone's going to be a good fit. If you know someone and you're able to sit across from them and share a cup of coffee like this, it's so much easier to say like, I've got someone that would really, really benefit from your work versus, just putting up ads of like, oh yeah, that person lost weight. Like it doesn't, it doesn't always work. Yeah. It's helpful. And some people need that social proof and you do need that social proof. But I remember I got a grant one time from the Wise Center and it was like for digital marketing stuff. And they're like, oh, you're going to get, 200,000 impressions. I got zero business out of that. And that was the biggest lesson for me because that means the people that work with us, they're not paying attention to the ads. They want that connection. They want to know that we're real people. They want to know that we care. They want to know that we mess up. They're not people that are just buying something off of, something scrolling through TikTok or Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, and you also have the credentials and science to back it up. So it's not like, oh, I kind of really love food and nutrition and really interested in learning about this. And it's like, like me, like I just love watching YouTube videos about that stuff. But it's like, I'm not qualified to, close.
We're back.
Yeah. We're back. All right, so you also have like the credentials to back it up and the science. So you're not just like, I love learning about food and nutrition like me, like I just like to watch YouTube videos about it, but I'm not an expert. Do you want to talk about your credentials and that approach versus kind of just like going by the way the wind blows with different like nutrition gurus? And
so the credentials are there to protect you. Like they're obviously there to protect me too, but we're held to a code of ethics. We have to, everything that we do is, evidence-based research. If you were to ask me about, let's say like spirulina or something like that, like I would say like, I have to look at more of that evidence-based research. Like, supplements are meant to supplement a healthy diet, but like, let me look into that and get back to you versus someone just being like, oh yeah, I think that's fine. Or just hawking supplements or anything like that. So that's why the registered dietitian credential is so important, is because it's there to protect you and there to make sure that like we're practicing to the standards. Whereas a nutritionist is not a regulated term. You could call yourself a nutritionist because there's no governing body of nutritionists, whereas there is a governing body of registered dietitians. And in order to be a registered dietitian, it's 1,200 hours of internship, master's and bachelor's degree. One of them has to be at least in nutrition and dietetics. And then you have to take a boards exam, get recertified every 5 years through the boards exam. You don't have to take it again, but continuing education and keeping up those credentials too, where many online alternatives for people who are calling themselves a nutritionist or a nutrition coach, it's just like maybe you've done a 5-minute quiz and you got a certificate from this program, whereas legally they can't even be giving you nutrition, personalized nutrition recommendations. Like they're not supposed to be giving that at all. It really should only be coming from a registered dietitian.
Yeah, and that helps build that trust.
Yes.
Also. Yeah.
And I'm not an agenda pusher. So many people, and not everybody, but there are many people who don't have the nutrition education or the background, and then maybe they've done their own Google deep dives and all of that, but they might be very biased and say like, this is the only way to go. I've had clients come to me and say like, I've done intermittent fasting before, like what does the research say? And we'll talk about the research and then say like, all right, if you want to do this, like I'm here to support you with it. I'm not going to tell you yes or no. Same thing too with like the GLP medications, not my choice. Completely up to you on what you want to do, what your doctor is recommending. I'm just there to support you. I'm not making that decision for you.
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons to everything. Like I'm totally against the injection thing, but if someone is 400 pounds and the serious health ramifications, it may be worth it in the short term, the side effects or downsides of that to get to a healthy level that there's not stress on the organs and things. So it's like it's a sliding scale, I think, on all the different things.
And that stuff should be paired with working with a registered dietitian. And we are seeing more and more people, if they're on those medications, reach out to work with us to get the support that's needed to make sure that, all right, I'm going to take this. On average, people take those medications for 4 months. I want to take this and I don't want to be on it again. So like, how can we make sure that we are building that nutrition foundation so that you don't have to yo-yo on and off of it, because it's expensive. And they're also, I just saw something the other day where the FDA is tightening restrictions on the compounding pharmacies that offer semaglutide, which is the off-brand name, or like what the drug real name is for Wegovy and for Ozempic. But they're tightening those restrictions because they're no longer in a shortage. So many of those people that might be going to med spas to get it might not be able to get it in the long run and would have to go through their physician, which then means probably going to end up being covered by insurance, so there's less of that out-of-pocket expense for them too.
Right. What were some of the hardest lessons you had to learn when you started this the school of hard knocks, if you will?
It's not that deep, like as in like, you're not going to be able to please everybody. Someone is going to have a bad day and maybe they'll say things, or they might be snappy, or they're like, you know what, this isn't working for me. It's not your fault. And it's so hard because like we do take a vested interest in our clients, but and it's tough to be like, oh man, they don't want to work with us anymore. Like, what did I do? And like, sometimes like that's fine. It's just not meant to be. And then also like, you cannot do it alone. I think that was the big thing of like, I can wear all the hats and I can write all the emails and do all that stuff, but it's like, then you're sitting at your computer for just hours a day, and it's just like, I'm working in my business versus working on my business versus working in my business, where I'd rather be working in it than trying to do all the things that I can have somebody else do, and they can do it better and they can do it faster than I can, and they can still execute what I'm looking for. So it's that you have to have people that you trust and train them really, really well to get what you want. And then also, not everything's gonna be perfect. Not everybody, like, things are gonna happen, things are gonna be said, and maybe you'll get a comment on social media where you're like, wow, that was really mean of them. But like, it's not that deep, They don't know you. They're just, someone's fired up about something, and just let them be. It's not worth it to engage.
Yeah, I think that transcends all industries.
Yeah.
It's for any business. Yeah.
It's hard to not stew on that stuff though. Like I put up like a YouTube video where I was like, I'm a dietitian, this is why carbs are important. And someone was like, actually, you're wrong. Carbs are not important. You don't eat them. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I was like, not worth my time.
Yeah, don't engage.
Like,
yeah, no.
I'm glad that you think that way. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. All right, lightning round. Make the case for living in upstate New York. Are you from here originally? Move here? Thoughts on here? What do you think is like the selling pitch for being here?
So I am from Syracuse. I was born and raised in Liverpool, went to Bishop Ludden for high school. I went to school in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is very similar to New York, but I think we're at this crossroads of there's so many things that you can do here, and we're really on that like economic climb right now, which is so exciting. And it's like, there's so many things that you can do. So like I was in Leadership Greater Syracuse last year, and it was an entire year of like learning more about Syracuse and what's going on and those different opportunities where there is so much more history than you realize here. There's so many more things happening every single week that you don't even know about. You just have to put yourself out there. And also we don't get tornadoes or really hurricanes. You know, I can deal with snow for a couple months. I'll complain, but there's so much going on, and it's really a great, safe, and exciting place to live too.
In another world, if you had to live somewhere else, where would it be?
I would live St. John in the Virgin Islands.
Nice.
It's our favorite family vacation spot, and it's absolutely beautiful, and I would never leave.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wegmans or Costco?
Wegmans.
Wegmans.
Costco's too overwhelming. My ankles always get hit.
Yeah, it's a free-for-all.
It is. It is. People go crazy.
Favorite New York food, regional? Anywhere.
Utica greens.
Utica greens.
Oh my God. I could eat Francesca's greens forever. Like every single day, every single meal. They're so good.
Okay. I don't know what that is. What is that?
What do you mean? You don't know Utica greens?
No.
Okay. So it's like escarole. I can send you the recipe because I make them at home too. It's escarole, which is like a lettuce type of thing. You boil it and then you put it in with a pan, and there's pancetta, there's onion, garlic.
So it's like collard greens, but...
Kind of, but the Italian version.
Yeah.
And then there's breadcrumbs mixed in, and there's Parmesan cheese, and you bake them, and it's just a happy dance in your mouth. Like, it's just so good. It's so good.
All right. Nice. Favorite TV show theme song?
I'm really obsessed with Severance right now. So all of the TikToks and everything where people are like, Mark is hot, Helly's hot. Like, it's just like the whole, like that. I just love it. It's just like so good.
I missed that. I know the piano theme, but I missed the whole...
I'll have to find it and send it to you.
Memery of things. I just joined in like halfway through when they were airing the season, and I obviously watched it all immediately. But
that's where we got to. I think they're like 4 episodes in, and I was like, I saw on TikTok where they were doing the whole pop-up in Grand Central. I was like, we got to watch this.
Yeah.
Amazing show.
Yeah, it's really good. It's been a long time. When I started my business, I took a break, I think, from really binging shows, and then I couldn't really find anything. So it's the first one in a while that I really sunk into. I watched the finale last week, and I was sitting on the edge of the couch, and my husband was like, I wish I had a camera on you because you were just like, what the heck? Like, what is going on? As a consumer, I feel like so greedy and selfish. I'm like, I need season 3 now. And it's like, it's $8 million an episode, and it's gonna, it took 3 years to make this. I mean, it's not gonna, because there's no more strike.
Right.
But, it's like obviously hours and hours, hundreds of hours of work that need to go into that. And I just want the next episode.
They said it took 5 weeks to shoot the Cobell episode because they went up to Newfoundland, and it's like 5 weeks. Like, I also selfishly want them to just drop all the episodes at once. Like, let me binge it on my own time. So that wait in between each week was so painful.
Yeah. What's a hot take you have, like something you believe that maybe most people don't agree with?
Well, it's the Syracuse one, and I was saying it to my husband yesterday, and he was like, you need to back this up. Possibilities is overrated. I like their food, I love their pesto, but there are so many other places in Syracuse that you can go to get an amazing meal with amazing service. I love Possibilities, and I'll still go. But when someone's like, where do you go in New York to get like a good meal? I'm saying Cider Mill, I'm saying Francesca's, I'm saying like places like that where you can walk into and still get a table, and it doesn't have to be booked out months in advance. It's overrated. It's great.
All right, that sounds like fighting words to some people.
Oh, 100%. I know it is. I know.
Yeah. What do you think your favorite hidden gem in upstate New York would be? Anywhere, it could be food, place.
So I love Cafe Blue. I just love to sit there. I love their coffee drinks. I like to hang out there. I know that they're expanding, which is awesome. But it's that one place where it's like, if I don't know, like I want to go somewhere, but I don't want to do anything, I'll go sit at Cafe Blue. For more of an outdoor space, I love going to the Erie Canal over in like DeWitt, and I'll rollerblade. There's never really anybody there. I might trip over some tree limbs, but it's absolutely beautiful, and it's peaceful, and it's like just quiet. I love it.
That's a pretty niche activity, but like I feel like I've talked to three people in the last like month or so that like talk about rollerblading. I'm like, I don't know if I know anyone that rollerblades until like last month. So.
It started with COVID. I think that's what the big boom was. Is I remember I could not get like adult size rollerblades, so I had to buy like the largest kid-size version of them so I could rollerblade with a friend. Horrible move, so many blisters, but it was awesome. I loved it.
Nice. Advice you'd give your younger self?
I think trust your gut. You know, like your gut is really not going to lead you wrong. You're going to be able to kind of figure out like where you're going and know if a situation is going to be right or wrong, you know, and like listen to that intuition. Because there's so many times where it's like you feel like you have to do something, but your gut's telling you another thing. It's like, listen to your gut.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, what's next for you? Any big goals or upcoming projects? What's on the horizon?
So I'm super excited about the corporate wellness stuff. I've got a couple meetings coming up with people. So like that's kind of the big thing that we've been focusing on right now. My team has been doing amazing with our one-on-one clients. Our one-on-ones are growing, which is awesome, but really excited about the corporate wellness side of things, to be able to bring this to more people, to bring it in an applicable way that's not stress inducing. So I'm excited about that. I have a contract for this year and for next year already with a business. And I haven't even given the first presentation yet. They found me from somebody else and they're like, will this budget work for next year? And I was like, absolutely, sounds great to me. So I'm excited about that.
The compound effect or the flywheel idea is definitely real.
Yeah.
All right, Emily Gozy, where can people find you that want to work with you, reach out?
So you can find me on LinkedIn if you just search Emily Gozy. You can find me on Instagram, Nourished with Emily. You can go to our website, nourishedwithemily.com. We're on many of the different social media platforms. You can friend me on Facebook. Just send me a message saying like, hey, this is where you found me. Because I've been getting a lot, I don't know about you, I've been getting a lot of weird friend requests where it's like, I don't know these people. So I've been kind of going through of like, hey, what made you want to connect? And if they don't respond, I'm sorry. I want good connections there. So yeah, find me on any of those platforms.
Great. Final words for the podcast. What's one piece of advice you'd give to someone trying to build a healthier life or business?
Keep it small. Start small. Start looking for consistency. What's the one way that you can show up either for yourself or for your business every day and go from there? It's easy to set that I need to do 15 tasks, whether it be nutrition or entrepreneurial every day. What's the one thing that's going to move that needle 1% and go with that?
Wise words. All right, that's a wrap.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
This has been great.
Emily. Yeah, thanks.
I love it.
Peace out, everybody.